I'm going to turn it over to a teacher assistant that cares very much about the kids at Wareham High School and does a lot of things for a lot of students, a lot maybe that you don't know about. Specifically, she has a closet here with probably 1,000 gowns. If you ever want to have a pretty much brand new, some of them still have the tags on them, gown to go to a prom or any event for that matter, you can see Mrs. Kavicki, and you can slide a note underneath her door, which I believe is room 242. I still remember my old office. And she can help you out with a free gown. Even if it's not for the prom here, she can help you out with anything, and that's a great operation that she runs in a small closet in the building. And again, there's probably 1,000 gowns, and they're beautiful. So if you're going to the prom, even if it's not our prom, and you don't want to spend a few $100s, discreetly slide a note under her door, and she can help you out, and no one's going to know about it. And like I said, many of them still have the tags on and have never been worn. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Kavicki. She's going to say a few words.
I just wanted to give everyone the opportunity to meet someone who's very dear and special in my life. Her name is Sherelle. She is my niece's very best friend. I've known her since she was 4, maybe? Yeah. She has quite a story to tell you, and please, please ask questions. Keep your minds open and please listen. It's real important information. So please welcome Sherelle Paul.
Alright, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm not used to a microphone. This is basically the second time I've spoken to such a large crowd of you. So I appreciate it for listening to me for a little while. I was a Viking too. I didn't know you guys were Vikings in Wareham. But not in Wareham, I was in East Bridgewater, so a little farther away. But I'm still a Viking, come on. So not to date myself, but just so you get an idea of how old I am. I graduated in 2000 from East Bridgewater High. I went to Bridgewater State, which is very far from college. I never thought I'd leave my hometown of East Bridgewater. I never thought I'd leave Massachusetts. But not too long after college, I decided to go to California, of all places. So I drove 3,000 miles and made a home in California. I lived there for about 7 years, and so 2012 I decided to move from LA, which is where I was living, to Oakland area where my dad has been for quite a long time. And the reason for that was because of a health issue that I encountered. So before I get into that, so you guys are all juniors and seniors obviously. How many are going to prom this year? Well, I'm not going, but I did go. That's awesome. So I just spoke to the freshman and sophomore and some in the whole class, and they didn't really, it's too early for them. So, out of the girls and guys, actually, I know there's some guys that do it too. Who's tanning for prom? No, I know there's a lot of guys that do it. All right, well, thanks for raising your hands. There's a lot of people that do it. I did it before every prom. I did it every... Anyway, I did it every spring, so I get my base. I'm clearly very, very, very fair. I didn't want to burn all summer long, so I would go every spring to get the base so I would burn. I'm here to talk to you today regarding tanning and sun exposure because I was diagnosed in 2012 with stage 3 melanoma. Got real quiet, didn't it? It's a scary cancer, just like any cancer is, especially with melanoma because the research hasn't come as far as a lot of others. Like breast cancer has a ton of different treatments. Melanoma is very limited. We don't know as much as we should about it. Research is getting much better. I mean, I'm part of a clinical trial, so that's part of the research. But it was December 2012 that it officially sunk in with me. I had the mole removed in September. I was laying here on Cape Cod when my aunt saw a mole on my back that I've had all my life. It was about the size of a Skittle, about that big. and I couldn't really see it very well. It was on my lower back, so it was really hard to see it. But it was kind of getting itchy. I could feel it kind of getting scabby, a little weird. So when I was laying on my stomach on the beach, my aunt got, I mean, you know your family, they get a little crazy sometimes and really get concerned about your health. So they told me to go get that taken off. And when I was in high school, my mom even said, we should get that looked at, we should get that taken off, it's weird. But it hadn't started changing until that year, maybe a couple months ahead of that. And that was in July. So when I went back to LA, for one, I didn't have health insurance, so I procrastinated, but that's what I do. And when it comes to your health, I think when you get kind of freaked out, sometimes you don't want to face it, you don't really want to deal with it. I continued to go tanning. That was how ignorant I was. And I put one of those little heart stickers over the mole. So I thought that would make everything better. I'm just going to tell you now that was really stupid. I went to the dermatologist, like I said, it was in September. It was in some guy in Beverly Hills, and I paid about $1,000 because I didn't have insurance to get it off. So that was my rent money. Got it off, and you wait like a week, so they kind of kill you with the waiting. And I was all alone in my little one bedroom when they told me it was melanoma. And I needed to come back, and I needed to get more of the area excised, which is cut out, basically. I already had about 8-9 stitches, so I was not looking forward to it. I hate the doctor. I hated needles. I never wanted to go. So I kind of flipped out, and I was in the process of moving up north to be where my dad was, and he just told me to wait, and he said, come up here, and we'll get everything taken care of up here. So I went up there, and by December, I had a surgery scheduled to remove a lot of the area where my mole was on the back. So I have a scar about that long on my lower back. They had to take a lot out on the inside. So what they also do, because of how deep my melanoma was, they test the lymph nodes. They inject you with a dye, and they see where it goes first, and it went to my pelvic lymph nodes. So you guys have heard of the lymph system, maybe, in one of your health classes or your physiology classes. Basically, it runs all throughout your body, just like your veins and arteries do. It filters your blood. And usually, like if someone has breast cancer, they'll take out lymph nodes from their armpit, because there's clusters of them all over your body. And mine decided to go to my pelvis. So they wanted to take out a couple lymph nodes to see if it had in fact spread there. So I had a surgery in December where they took out more of the back, and then they took out like 5 or 6 lymph nodes from each side of my pelvis. Small little incisions about this big on each side. Wasn't fun. Like I said, I hated the doctor. I hated needles. So it was very scary for me. And when I came back, it did in fact have cancer in them. So that was not a very fun new year for me, 2013. So what the doctors told me was that, considering you still had some cancer in there, you have to come back and get more lymph nodes out. They do a full lymph node dissection, which is where they take out pretty much all the lymph nodes in the area. So for me, because it was on both sides, they cut me from my hip bone on both sides to the inside of my thigh. So the scars are about that long. I thought it was going to be those little small ones again. So that morning when I got into the hospital, that was a little scary. And I wanted to make sure they didn't cut my tattoos, because I do have one on my hip. Doctor was real sweet about that. So after the surgery, I woke up, and my legs were both wrapped really tightly in this like ace bandage type thing. And they said it was for swelling, because when you remove all these lymph nodes, it can cause your limbs to swell because all the fluid doesn't know where to go. So they explained that to me, that can happen. It's called lymphedema. It can happen anywhere from right after surgery until 3 years after you've had your surgery. So they had my legs really wrapped tight, and I also had these drain tubes coming out of my legs, which was really freaky looking. It looked like something out of Alien or whatever, and it was gross. they were filled with fluid. So it needs to have somewhere to go, so that's why they were there. So I also have these 2 little dot scars on there as well from the tubes. The tubes were in there for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. My mom had to empty them. My mom flew out from Boston to California to help take care of me after my surgery, and my dad was there too. My dad can't really deal with that kind of stuff though, so good thing she was there. I also, when I was in the hospital, they gave me a spinal tap because they wanted to make sure that I hadn't spread to my spinal fluid. I really didn't want, I wanted to do that less than I wanted to have surgery, but they told me, well, you know, you're on painkillers and we're going to numb you in the area, so you should be fine. And it was actually a really easy procedure, which was great, except I had to lay on my stomach, where it was very painful to lay on my stomach, considering they cut me open all in here. And then afterwards, there's a random side effect with spinal taps where you get a crazy migraine headache for a while. And I happened to get that, so I couldn't sit up. I had to lay flat for about 2 weeks. That was awful. And because of the surgery, I couldn't feel, and I still can't, feel the front of my thighs. They cut so many nerves that I'm not sure if that'll ever come back. So after that, I did meet with an oncologist at the hospital. I was at a county hospital in Oakland, which is a little scary. But they were good people. And they told me that, and he had tears in his eyes, which was a little bit nerve-wracking, but he said that I'm going to need to have chemotherapy. So my dad was in the office with me, and the first thing I said was, I want to be back in Boston. I have all my family here, and there's some incredible hospitals in Boston. So without insurance and without work, because I had to quit my job, because as a massage therapist, you can't stand on your feet for 7 hours a day when your legs could swell. And my doctors told me to stay off my feet for 6 months. So there went my dream job. And also, there goes my apartment, because I can't pay for my rent. So I lived with my dad for another couple months, and then flew back here. And currently live with my grandmother. At 31 years old, it's kind of an adjustment, to say the least. You know, you go to college and you move to California or wherever you go, and you have these plans for yourself. And you never know if you're really going to get married, if you're ever going to have kids, maybe you want to, but then all of a sudden when someone tells you you have a 20% chance of living 5 years, you start to think about those things that you maybe never thought you wanted. So I may not look like what you may think a normal cancer patient may look like, but I've been through 6 surgeries to have lymph nodes removed. I'll show you my scars after if you really want to see them. And I started a clinical trial last November. So most people, when they're given a melanoma diagnosis, the first treatment that is usually offered is a medicine called interferon, and it's not fun. You get a port put in, and you go 5 times a week for about a month and a half to get infusions at the hospital. And then after that, you have to give yourself infusions at home for the rest of the year. And it makes you feel like absolute crap. Some people do lose their hair. And if your body can take it for the whole year and get through it, it's still a slim chance that the cancer is completely gone. You have risks that it will always come back the rest of your life. It could, I mean. So for me, when I went to Beth Israel, this is where I go to Beth Israel in Boston, my team, after my 5th surgery, told me that I still have lymph nodes inside me that are bad, but they can't get to them because they're too deep. So I skipped interferon altogether because it wasn't an option at my point anymore. So I qualified for a clinical trial. So I still go and I get my infusions. I started in November, like I said, and I go every other week now to get infusions. And infusions like generic kind of chemo that you think it is, you get an IV put in, and you sit there for about 5-6 hours while the medicine slowly gets into you. Pretty boring, not really eventful or anything like that. I'm lucky that I'm young and healthy otherwise, because the side effects would not be fun if I wasn't. I do still have side effects. I itch from head to toe, which is annoying. And I itch so much sometimes I scratch myself, which is not very nice. A few weeks ago I had an infusion and I felt like absolute crap. And it was actually the first time I spoke. It was a Tuesday in East Bridgewater, and I had my infusion Monday. And by Tuesday afternoon, I was home in bed. I felt like absolute crap. And I stayed in bed for 4 days. I was in the hospital over Christmas, so that wasn't very fun. I had high fevers of like 103. And they kept me in the hospital. I didn't really know why I was having fevers, but it is on the list of my side effects. When I signed the clinical trial paperwork, there was about 6 or 7 pages worth of side effects that could happen. And they don't know the long-term effects of these things, so I could still be feeling them 20 years down the road if I make it that long. I'm not here to scare you, but I kind of am. I tanned, but I didn't do it that much. I would lay out in the sun. I've had quite a few sunburns throughout my childhood. I mean, most of us have. But if I knew then what I know now, I would never have done it. It's really not worth the risk at all. I don't know why we have to be tan. I don't know why society kind of made us feel like it's healthier to have a tan, because it's not at all. I post things on Instagram of my scars and my needles, and my IVs in my arms, so I can kind of give people an idea of what happens when you tan, or what could happen when you tan. So back in the day when I started going, I was about 14, 15 maybe when I started. My mom went with me. We didn't know the dangers. And even now today they tell you that it's better for you than the sun, which, I mean, all they want is your money. They don't care. It's a huge cash cow, the tanning industry. So I'm here, not for me, because clearly I get emotional and clearly this makes me nervous. But I'm here for you, because if I knew what could happen when I was your age, I would not do it. So I hope that this kind of gets to you at your core, and maybe you'll stop doing it, maybe you'll help friends stop doing it, maybe just be more cautious in the sun too. It's not just the tanning beds, they do it a lot faster. It's like you're 75% more at risk if you use a tanning bed, which is insane. But when you're out playing sports, you know, you're out on the boat, you're out on vacation, you're out on the beach, just put sunblock on. I mean, I know it's a pain, but just anything higher than SPF 30 is what you want. I used to put SPF 4 on just so I get that little glow. I don't glow, I would burn, I don't know what I was thinking. And it doesn't just affect us fair-skinned, redheaded people. It's everybody, it's not prejudice. The biggest example I can use, and I saw you walk in with your Bob Marley shirt. You guys clearly know who Bob Marley is, yes? Okay. Clearly know he's African American, yes? Jamaican. He's dark-skinned, very dark. Do you guys know how he passed away?
Melonoma.
No, that was kind of an obvious one, right? But yeah, he had it under his big toe. I remember when I was younger, a lot of people thought it was a soccer injury. Well, he did injure it playing soccer, but then the doctors noticed he had what looked like an infection in his foot, and it was the melanoma that had gone untreated, and it was looking pretty nasty. He refused to have his toe amputated because, I mean, that's kind of scary. It also went against some of his religious beliefs. So he left it and went untreated, and he was gone within 5 years, I think, after that. So please don't think just because you tan well that you may not be at risk for this, because you are at risk. Keep an eye on things. Look at your skin. It's the largest organ of your body. You don't think so, but it is. And everything that you do to it throughout the years stays with you. It doesn't just go away because the sunburn's gone. And not only sunburns and skin cancer, but man, the wrinkles look like crap. About 25, when I hit about 25, I remember getting my first gray hair and then realizing, oh man, these wrinkles are not good. And living in California, I went tanning the most when I was living out there because I worked like 5 days a week and never had time to go to the beach. And so I would go all the time. Me and my girlfriend went all the time. So I have my note sheet because I don't want to forget things to say. So when I moved back here, like I said, at 30, I'm 31 now, not being able to work and having to see your family look at you like you're a cancer patient, which I know I am, but I've been independent for 10 years now, and it's a crazy huge adjustment to deal with something like this. So I just want you guys to be aware, to stop tanning, to stop burning in the sun, anything like that. So I guess the last thing I wanted to show you guys was a video. It's on YouTube, it's only 5 minutes long, but a lot of these people in this video I've met or will be meeting. There's actually a girl they mentioned in the video that was from Barnstable, so she was really close by. And she passed away at 26 from melanoma. A little crazy. But I have to go up there and start this video, so let me turn this on.
Dylan's up there. She's gonna.
Oh, and I just want to say, before I do the video, I'm going to hang out for a few minutes after. I'm going to go speak at another health class. But if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Come up to me, ask me. I'm not shy. I'll show you my scars. That's what it takes to scare some people into stopping. Oh, are you going to start? Okay, thank you. So yeah, just come find me after. I'm going to hang out for a while. But thank you so much for listening, and have fun at the prom. And for those of you graduating, good luck. Thank you.
Dear 16-year-old me.
Dear 16-year-old me.
Dear 16-year-old me.
Please don't get that perm. It's not as awesome as you think it's going to be.
You have to actually practice in order to learn to play guitar.
Whiskey tastes even worse on the way up.
Dear 16-year-old me, there's going to be a new set of Star Wars movies. Don't watch them. They ruin everything.
Dear 16-year-old me. This is where they took the cancer out. It was something called melanoma.
It's called malignant melanoma.
Malignant melanoma.
Malignant. That's not a very friendly word.
You'll be diagnosed when you're 28.
18.
36.
29.
22.
It's a tumor that starts in your skin cells, the cells that give your hair and skin color.
It's not just skin cancer.
Well, it is.
Well, it is.
But not just the
Cut it out and it'll be fine kind, unfortunately.
It's the kind that you have to catch before it spreads.
Because it spreads so fast.
So fast.
To places like your liver, your lungs, your brain.
Yours will be a really rare kind in your left eye, and that's when you'll find out.
That melanoma can show up on your tongue, the palms of your hands, and the soles of your feet.
Your doctors will tell you you're lucky that you caught it early.
Yours will tell you that you need aggressive treatment.
I'll have to tell you it might take a year of chemotherapy.
And you'll need to do some of the injections yourself.
Dear 16-year-old me,
You're doing okay.
you're strong.
But there are some things I want you to know.
I wish I'd known.
That one bad sunburn before you turn 18
Doubles your chances of developing melanoma.
That fair skin and red hair means that you're at a higher risk of getting it.
As if ginger people didn't have enough problems.
That you're at higher risk if you've got more than 50 moles.
And if you have a weakened immune system or a family history of skin cancer.
I want you to know the outlook is very good if we can catch it early.
But you have less than a 10% chance of surviving more than 5 years if we don't.
Dear 16-year-old me.
Spend more time with family. They mean everything.
If I had one piece of advice for you, don't start the tanning bed. I know you want a healthy glow, but it's going to double my chances of getting melanoma.
Sunscreen.
Yes, I agree. It's a huge pain in the ass, but so worth it. Please.
Your skin's like an elephant. It never forgets.
Dear 16-year-old me,
Helping spread this message is how you'll honor Glenna's memory. At 16, she's already an incredible lifeguard. She loves the sun and the beach and tanning, but she just doesn't know.
She'll be diagnosed when she's 22 and will lose her battle when she's just 26.
I want you to know, because it's melanoma that's going to take the strongest man you know, your best friend, and the love of your life.
Dear 16-year-old me,
Don't be afraid. This isn't about being afraid.
I want you to be aware
that melanoma is a young person's disease.
It is the second most common cancer in children and teenagers, and one of the most common in young adults.
And it can be deadly.
I want you to know you're not helpless.
This is a cancer that shows itself
Right there on the outside of you.
start checking your skin.
Please check.
Get to know your skin.
Get to know your skin.
Start checking your skin.
If a new mole shows up,
Or if when you have, starts to change color, or size, or shape, or feels different.
If something seems out of place, get your doctor to have a look as soon as possible.
Know what to look for and get help. These are all signs your skin could be developing cancer.
You brush your teeth every day, maybe even floss,
Okay, we both know you don't floss.
but just once a month. I want you to check.
It takes 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Dear 16-year-old me, I do realize you're not actually going to see this, but someone else will, and it'll make a difference to them.
Dear someone else.
Dear somebody else.
If you're watching this,
send it to a 16-year-old you care about.
Send it to anyone who was once 16.
Or soon will be 16. Send this.
And check yourself. Educate yourself.
You can download tools and information about melanoma here.
Share this link.
Tweet this link.
Post this to your Facebook.